How's it going, guys? I'm Connor from Running Warehouse, and I'm here with Caleb. Today, we are going to be reviewing the New Balance More V4. That's right, the shoe has been completely revamped from top to bottom. And Caleb, I think it's fair to say that this shoe has a lot more to it.
Oh yeah, you have a max stack of New Balance's Fresh Foam X compound. You got more space in the upper. You just got more of everything.
And I don't want to brag or anything, but I was one of the first testers on this shoe. I might have more miles on the More V4 than anyone in the world, over 1,400 miles. And I'm just gonna be frank, this is my favorite max cushion trainer of the year by far. It's smooth, it's soft, it has a very unique feel. And you know, this is just a shoe that I bring in and day out.
Oh yeah, same here. I've tested a few over this last year, and by far the More V4 has kind of taken over for my long haul, easy day running. It's my favorite.
Yeah, and I think probably the one thing we got to start off with is what makes a max cushion shoe what it is, the midsole. And like the name states, there is more foam than ever. We've got a slab of Fresh Foam X, and I said maybe in some earlier first looks that we were looking at a little bit over 40 millimeters. I just rechecked the latest version. We are right at 40 millimeters, so right up to that kind of max stack height. It feels so soft, so cushioned underfoot. When you get that initial step in, you feel a little bit of that compression, and then as you toe off, you feel that bounce. And I would say it feels responsive and has that little bit of a propulsive feeling, but it's not a fast shoe. This is something that feels efficient while you're just cruising at some of those slow to moderate efforts.
Right, and as you said, it does have that bounce. It's kind of one of those distinguishing characteristics for the More V4 compared to other max stacks, is you do get some of that energetic responsiveness, but again, it's a max stack shoe. Protection is king. When you need that protection, when you're feeling tired, when you're sore, this will take you as far as you want to go.
So when I first got this shoe, Danny Orr shipped it over to me. He said, there's something special here. When I got the More V4 on my foot, I knew this was going to be a game changer. I couldn't stop wearing the shoe. I got 200, 300, 500. Danny said, you got to stop wearing the shoe. I got 700 miles on my first pair, and I was just like, this is my favorite shoe. I need to keep bringing it out. He finally sent me a couple more pairs so I could keep getting the miles in, but it just kind of shows how much I really enjoyed that soft, bouncy underfoot experience.
Yeah, you know, we get a lot of shoes to test, and sometimes it can be challenging to push yourself to that 30 to 50 mile range, but in the More V4, it's so easy to just pick this up throughout testing. You know, I got about 60, 70 miles in it, and it's really found a place in my shoe rotation. It's solidified. I'm ready to do more miles in the More V4.
And we've talked quite a bit about the midsole, of course, that's what we love, but let's also move down to the outsole. Got a good amount of rubber surrounding the shoe, a little bit of exposed EVA, and I think from a durability standpoint, I talked about the first pair I got 700 miles in, and it actually looked pretty good from an aesthetic standpoint. Probably the midsole started to go after a little bit, but from a durability standpoint, the rubber has held up phenomenally. And of course, we got to talk about the wide base. The higher up you go, when you start getting to the 40 millimeter zone, especially in a daily trainer, you need a wide platform. The New Balance really kind of broadens out the platform. It feels very stable, and even though you have all this cushioning, I never had any issues with feeling kind of unstable, especially when you're taking tighter turns.
Yeah, and so again, durability, I'm not concerned about how long this will last. As you said, it's gonna last for hundreds of miles. In reference to the wide base, super stable. I was actually really surprised. I had a little bit of trouble in the Bondi. The More V4 did a great job, and you know, again, referencing kind of how we test, sometimes people have trail shoes, some people have different road racers and whatnot, but we kind of adventure on some of our testing runs, and I was able to take this on gravel roads. I even did a little stint on a trail. Don't take it on trail, but it worked. I was stable, I wasn't rolling over, and the shoe kept me over the midsole.
I'm glad you brought up the trail aspect, because while this shoe isn't built for trails, I also run a lot on fire roads. It handled perfectly, and you never know, maybe if this shoe got a little bit of lugs, it could handle decently on the trail.
I would agree. I mean, I think if it had a couple like deeper lugs in there, you would have the traction you need for a trail shoe, but right, definitely a road shoe, versatile in nature given that outsole.
Now, finishing this shoe off, rounding it all together, we'll talk about the upper. And this was a shoe, when I got it on foot, I didn't know exactly what to expect, and it was a little bit more, had a little bit more volume than I was thinking. It had a really nice spacious toe box, nice lockdown in the midfoot. Overall, it was a pretty seamless fit that fit my foot really well.
I would have to agree. I'm kind of a medium foot, like right in the middle between narrow and wide. Very spacious. I did have to use a runner's loop to get the heel lock that I wanted, but security wasn't an issue once I found that lacing system that worked for me, and I really appreciated all the space in the toe box. You know, when you're taking those long, easy runs, you don't want discomfort, you don't want irritation, and the space in the toe box in the More V4 really just allowed you to relax and enjoy.
So from top to bottom, I really feel like the More V4 checks all the boxes. Midsole, outsole, upper, I really enjoyed this shoe, and I keep using the word unique because it is something that's different than anything else on the market. Really, if I was gonna put some comparisons, I would probably say the Bondi is the closest fit in terms of that max stack, max cushion, really comfortable shoe for those long miles. I do tend to bring out the More V4 a little bit more. I feel it's a little bit smoother, it's a little bit bouncier. It's just a slightly more fun shoe for me. I do find the Bondi is reliable. I definitely think the More V4 is gonna be more in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, and again, that Bondi, it's a great shoe, you can rely on it, but the More V4 has a little more of that energy, that excitement. And that's really what separates it from the Bondi is it's softer, but it's also more responsive. You can feel it as you come through your transition heel to toe. You get a little push, and you know, again, that just makes the experience a little more fun. I would also say, like, compared to the 1080, it has more protection. You know, the 1080 was great. I kept it around 5 to 10K, but this guy, I can take it as far as I want. I really had no trouble doing 12, 15-mile runs. I was comfortable throughout the entire run. And then the other big one that's in the conversation is the new Super Comp trainer from New Balance, and very similar style, but the Super Comp is a little more of that performance kind of recovery shoe where you're gonna get more from that carbon plate, you're gonna get a little more from the fuel cell foam, but in general, I would go to this one because it's gonna be more comfort-minded, and comfort for me is king.
And I feel like that is one of the biggest questions I keep getting asked because the SC trainer and the New Balance More V4 are both kind of in that max stack category. People don't really know which one to go with. And I would say, again, if you're looking for that faster, more aggressive shoe that can handle workouts, can handle those faster paces, the SC trainer is gonna be right in your wheelhouse. It has that carbon plate that just makes it feel a little bit more peppy. You can kind of get down into those race speeds. More V4 is gonna be that cruiser. It's gonna be that shoe that can just handle the long runs. It can handle those recovery efforts. And for me personally, that's where I've been using this shoe the most. Recovery days, easy, steady runs, long runs, anytime where I just wanna feel efficient, smooth, and just pound out those miles.
Yeah, and if you're trying to choose between the Super Comp trainer or this, just the other thing to note is that it is coming in at a cheaper price point. So if money is a factor, you can save a little bit on the More V4.
So there you have it. That was our full review on the New Balance Fresh Foam X More V4. It's been completely revamped. It maybe even is considered a whole new shoe from where it was. It is a very unique feel, soft, bouncy, has everything you need to run long miles on the road. If you're looking to get this shoe on your feet, it's available now. You can find it here at Running Warehouse.